His kid's power just straight up shattered the global ranking system. He broke humanity's one absolute rule by awakening not just one, but multiple legendary classes all at the same time. But get this, up until yesterday, he was the school's ultimate punching bag, a totally useless E-rank who got humiliated and walked all over by literally everybody, destined to watch his life and family get wiped out in the demon apocalypse, until death actually gave him a second chance, sending him back 10 years into the past with all his memories of the future intact. And the craziest part, he straight up stole the power of the Demon King himself, the gluttony system, letting him devour monsters and absorb an endless amount of classes. So now, those same bullies who used to mess with him are getting sent flying with just a single punch, and those S-rank overlords that used to terrorize humanity are getting sliced to pieces in the blink of an eye. The weakest kid on Earth came back to completely break the rules of the world, and if you blink, he's gonna devour your power too. In the year 2167, demons straight up took over our world. Right in the middle of a burning ruined city, there's a body pinned to a stone pillar, known as the triple S-rank lightning assassin. The guy stuck up there is Si Chen, our MC. Jumping back 7 years, the Demon Kings invaded Earth with Lan Yu leading the charge. Staring down the kid, the monster just laughs in our faces and calls humanity pathetic trash. He even says it's finally time for him to fulfill his last purpose in this world, gearing up to launch his attack right at the kid, since the Demon King wants to devour him just to unlock some crazy absolute power. So he starts sucking away all of our MC's energy and life force. But Si Chen fights back, feeling his soul getting ripped out and refusing to go down like that. His mind goes straight to his sister, his friends, and his master, who all fell to these beasts. Fueled by pure rage, the kid unleashes every last drop of his power cause he's not going down without a fight, swearing to drag the monster straight to hell with him as his final move. Then he triggers the terminus bow, setting off a massive electric explosion all over the place. Lan Yu is totally stunned, having no clue why he just froze up in the middle of all that light, tearing his own body apart as he lets out all his energy in one final strike. Right in the months of the chaos, he thinks about his little sister, agonizing over the fact that he couldn't save her, and his old master too, which was another huge loss that really scarred the kid for life. He even thinks about his parents, accepting that they're all gonna be reunited real soon. Deep down, he's feeling super guilty because he just didn't have the strength to change this messed up fate. Getting swallowed by the light, the monster curses humans, totally in disbelief that he actually lost. Then a blinding flash wipes out everything, completely erasing that battlefield off the map. As he fades away, our MC still regrets not finding their lair sooner, cause stopping that first Demon King would have prevented this whole global tragedy. Cutting to a new scene, someone seems to be waking up in a completely different place, slowly coming back to his senses and trying to figure out where he is. He cracks his eyes open and realizes he has absolutely no clue where he ended up. Noticing he's still breathing, he even feels some bandages slacked on his face. Getting up from a basic bed in a room that looks a whole lot like a school infirmary, he gets a massive shock seeing he's in one piece, totally confused about where the heck he is right now. Peeking out the window, his jaw drops when he sees a calm, bright blue sky outside. Looking closer, he spots students just chilling and walking around the campus. He thinks it's all crazy. I mean, the world was ending, so where did all these people come from? It feels like some wild dream, but after a bit, it clicks and he accepts reality, figuring out pretty quick that he traveled back 10 years in time, right back to his college days. While he's trying to process all this madness, a little system screen pops up out of nowhere, giving him a heads up that the power of gluttony has successfully merged with his body. Checking the clock, it reads May 16th, 2157. He confirms the date and realizes he's back 10 years before everything went to hell, leaving only 3 years until the Demon Kings descend and humanity gets wiped out. Knowing that in 2160, the Demon King Wrath is gonna show up and wreck everything. And Wrath was exactly the guy who opened the gates for the rest of the beasts to invade the world, marking the start of the chaos and the reason he lost his entire family in the future. So Destiny just handed him a golden second chance with this time travel gig. He's laser focused on taking down that first demon right out the gate to stop those portals from opening. Staring at the gluttony power screen, he tries to wrap his head around this crazy interface, feeling like something in his own body has seriously changed this time around. Just then, a game screen pops up showing level 1, but with some absolutely busted stats. Seeing an insane 100 points in strength and agility, he's blown away by all that power, remembering that before he could only fight using powers he got way later down the line, especially since only 1 in 10,000 gets lucky enough to awaken and bag a special class. Too bad in his past life he was a total loser and just got stepped on by everyone. Thinking about it, the kid realizes he got beaten up so badly by the bullies that he ended up in the infirmary. Right then, a new screen pops up out of nowhere, unlocking some secret system files, bringing up his lightning assassin profile packed with OP moves like the electric blade. Feeling the power in his veins, he figures out that his future strength came back with him to this timeline. He's left wondering if he really managed to awaken his powers years ahead of schedule. Then the system automatically kicks off the class change process, but our noise at the door ruins the vibe and he looks over to see who decided to crash the party. Walking into the room, Ma Long shows up looking spooked, just being a wimpy rank E, coming in all worried to check if his buddy is doing okay and isn't hurting too much. He tells him everything's cool, while noticing that he's the only one who can actually see that screen, leaving his friend totally shocked, seeing that the bruises healed way too fast, even for them. This goofy guy with glasses was exactly his old college roommate, who was just a low-level warrior that bit the dust on day 3 of the invasion back then. Seeing his buddy alive and kicking right in front of him, it fully sinks in that he actually time-traveled, but his roommate kills the mood, bringing up tomorrow's rank test with 0 time to waste, dragging the kid by the arm to get ready, since this exam decides their graduation, showing the crowd outside just having a good time and playing some sports in the courtyard, while a bunch of students use the space to practice magic and test out their skills, playing soccer on one side and doing sprints with elemental powers on the other. Walking through there, he drops a comment that it's been a hot minute since he saw this many living people, giving his buddy the creeps with that dark talk, begging him to cut the weirdness. Right then, the kid thinks about how he's already seen this entire place get demolished in the future, knowing that if he doesn't step up now, that hopeless future is gonna come knocking again, realizing he can't slack off and needs to level up as fast as possible, cause in this era, the only way to level up is by hunting monsters inside their lairs. But those spots are completely controlled by the big guilds, leaving outsiders with 0 chance. Checking out his stats, he notices that even at level 1, he's got 100 points in every single stat, but the government split everyone into ranks from S to E, and most people end up stuck at the bottom. Thinking about that, he wonders what his actual rank would be if he took the test, since he looks over and knows for a fact his strength completely outclasses Ma Long's. Suddenly, a ball flies out of nowhere and smacks his buddy square in the face, hitting him so hard that the poor guy drops straight to the ground like a rock. Right after that, a little group of bullies on the stairs starts mocking them, with the leader laughing and pointing out that they recovered pretty fast from their last beatdown. Freaking out, Ma Long says they got super unlucky bumping into these jerks here. While his friend is shaking in his boots, our MC stares the guys down without taking a single step back. Chuckling with his goons, the bully says those 2 kids are pretty tough to crack, glaring at Si Chen and asking where the cases of booze are that they were supposed to bring. Stuttering, Ma Long apologizes and says he'll run to buy them right now so they don't get beat up, but our guy steps in front, dead serious, telling them that the only ones who need to apologize are those scumbags. Staring down the bully while some seriously bad memories from the past come rushing back, remembering when he was used as a punching bag by this bunch of cowards, even showing them shoving his head underwater while they laughed at the poor guy, and his buddy, even though he was weak, tried begging them to stop but nobody cared, with the leader making excuses saying he was just trying to help the kid awaken his powers, believing he had to stimulate it by beating him up since the kid didn't have any abilities. Watching the gang laugh it up and have a blast while someone suffered without being able to fight back, until he finally blacks out completely and the guys walk off thinking the joke got boring. Running over in a total panic, Ma Long checks to see if his buddy is even still breathing, screaming his name. Meanwhile, our MC is just wondering why these guys can't leave people the heck alone, realizing that pure evil isn't just stuck inside those monster layers, but runs completely wild in the human world too. Laughing it up, the bully is already planning to humiliate the kid even more just to keep up his whole big boss act. Snapping back to reality, he demands those drinks with pure arrogance just to flex his status around the school, trying to apologize all over again to avoid a brawl. Ma Long gets stopped dead in his tracks by our MC. Standing his ground, the kid says his buddy did nothing wrong and that those punks are the ones who need to beg for forgiveness. Looking like a total idiot, the lead bully is absolutely furious at the kid's audacity. Freaking out, Ma Long asks what kind of crazy stunt he's pulling, terrified of what's gonna happen next. Going by the name Gong Chung, this arrogant jerk is actually nothing but a rank E warrior, just staring staring the psycho down without even blinking, acting all tough just cause his older brother runs the student council, since he's actually super weak himself. Whispering in the background, all the students are practically begging to see the kid catch another brutal beatdown, writing off those two buddies as the absolute most useless and pathetic guys in the whole college. Winding up for an attack, the bully steps up to teach the kid a painful lesson, asking him to repeat what he just said, already charging up a hit to embarrass our hero in front of the whole crowd. Keeping totally cool, the kid tells the bully to get lost and never bother them again. Losing whatever patience he had left, the psycho lunges forward, shouting that he's cruising for another beating. Catching everybody off guard, our MC blocks that heavy-hitting punch with just one arm, completely effortlessly. Feeling a crazy sharp pain in his hand, the bully instantly realizes that something is seriously wrong here, dropping all the students' jaws, cause they can't figure out how a totally normal guy just stopped and awakened. Straight up breaking everybody's minds as they question their own eyes, since the kid wasn't even supposed to have powers. Boiling with rage, the bully screams that a powerless piece of trash has no right to challenge him like that. Seeing a golden opportunity, the kid decides to test drive his brand new skills right on this jerk's face. Right then, the system confirms his electric assassin class, massively multiplying his strength and speed. Completely at a loss for words, Ma Long stutters, demanding to know when his buddy awakens so much insane power, staring down his enemy with an absurd level of confidence he's literally never had before in his life. Refusing to get humiliated, Gong Cheng pops his demon armor to completely crush the kid. Winding up a killer punch, he charges in with blood in his eyes, out for pure payback on our MC. Moving like a literal lightning bolt, the kid dodges the attack like it's absolutely nothing, using that opening to slam a fully charged punch right into the middle of the psycho's face, sending that arrogant punk flying through the air and launching him super far away. Catching everybody off guard, the students scream in total shock seeing the big bad bully go down that easy. Trying to process what just happened, Ma Long can't believe his buddy was hiding that much crazy strength. Sprawled on the ground and hurting bad, the jerk complains that he got hit by some cowardly cheap shot. Yelling at his goons, he asks if they're just gonna stand there and watch instead of jumping into the fight. Shaking in his boots, one of them hesitates since his fear of getting beaten up is way bigger than his loyalty to the boss. Letting out a super sinister aura, the kid decides to straight up show everyone who's actually boss around here. Absolutely pissed, the bully screams that he's gonna end him with a crushing punch, but our MC just catches the punch looking completely chill and without even breaking a sweat, letting out a huge scream of pain from the electric shock, realizing way too late that he messed with the wrong guy, making it crystal clear that they're just too weak and nothing but a bunch of talentless cowards. Then he delivers a nasty thunder punch, sending the guy flying away crying in absolute pain, blasting the punk's body backward with so much force that he literally crosses the entire courtyard, flying straight into a wall and slanting his back into it crazy hard. Left sprawled out on the ground super banged up, while his goons run for the hills so they don't catch hands too. Watching all this go down, Ma Long's jaw is on the floor, totally unable to even process the scene, wondering exactly when his buddy turned into such an absolute monster in a fight. After pulling that off, our MC realizes this new strength is completely off the charts, with a little screen popping up again, confirming his 100 base stats even though he's just at level 1, figuring out he can also trigger his electric assassin state literally whenever he wants. Noticing he can already go toe-to-toe with lower ranks, and that his actual level is a total mystery, but the kid realizes he still has a super annoying problem to fix right out the gate, cause even after wrecking that bully, he notices his system stats are exactly the same. Spawning an electric blade right in his hand, he wonders if the whole way to gain power has actually changed. Seeing that insane energy, the crowd goes into full panic mode, asking what he's about to do. Shaking with fear on the ground, the jerk sees the glowing lightning getting dangerously close to his face. Glaring at his enemy dead in the eye, our MC wonders if the method for grinding XP is totally different now, grabbing the psycho for real this time, making it obvious he's not playing around anymore. Right then, a girl's voice calls out, warning him they're on school grounds and things could get way out of hand. Turns out it's Ling Yu, the student council vice president, stepping in to break up the courtyard brawl, telling him that punishment is more than enough, even though the bully was the one who started it, dropping the jerk onto the floor right after hearing her out. But finding the whole thing kinda sus, he wonders if the council is just trying to protect that coward. With the vibe still super tense, the students watch from a distance, totally mind blown by the kid's badass energy. Scared completely stiff, a few guys whisper that his death glare gave him the creeps, and they're definitely not messing with him again, even doubting if he's actually the same loser everyone thought was the absolute weakest guy in school. Watching the two buddies walk off, Ling Yui keeps a pretty mysterious look on her face and decides to head out too, 2. Once night hits, the guys try to catch some sleep in the boys' dorm after a crazy long day. Inside, Ma Long is busy trying to convince his roommates that his buddy awakened some crazy superpower, hyping up how the kid wiped a floor with a bully's face and sent his whole squad running for the hills. Not buying a single word of it, Xiang Zuo, a rank E mage, asks where our MC ran off to, saying it makes literally zero sense for a super strong guy to go out running for some basic level training. Typing away on his PC, another roommate jokes that Ma Long took so many hits to the head, his brain is straight up fried, pointing out that the only reason all 4 of them are sharing a room is because they're the absolute worst students in their year, flexing that he's the best one out of the group, since the other 2 are just support classes, reminding them he's the only guy with a real combat class in the room, being a core mage and all. Mocking our kid, the jerk brags that pretty soon he'll be strong enough to join an actual club, leaving everyone super hyped for the final rank test right before their graduation. Cutting over to the entrance of a rank E lair, which the students use for combat practice. Stepping right out of that glowing energy portal, a guy makes his entrance. It turns out to be Gon Ting, the student council president, wrapping up an intense training session with Ling Yu, wrapping up the day's work. The guards around him all bow down with massive respect, but the president spots someone waiting in the corner and keeps a super serious look on his face, revealing Gong Cheng covered in bandages after the nasty beatdown he caught from our boy. Whining like a baby, he swears he's not gonna sleep until his older brother deals with our MC. Listening to all his crying about our hero's audacity, the president just stays dead quiet, finally promising his little bro that he's gonna handle the kid personally real soon. Jumping over to a fancy dinner served right after just to recharge all their energy. Sitting right there, Ling Yu asks what his game plan is, seeing how his brother got completely wrecked in that fight, making the president wonder if the kid is actually as insanely strong as everyone's saying, mentioning that he knows everybody's ranks and even recruited some rank D geniuses into his own club, cause your average students don't even get access to the layers, leaving them with zero chance to actually level up. Cutting back to our kid, he's out there running totally alone in the middle of a heavy rainstorm at night, hauling 100 kilos on his back, pushing through a 20-kilometer run just to test his limits, knowing that basic training pushes the body and your power limit literally depends on raw physical strength, since he's only going to be able to handle that electric assassin power if he builds up a rock-solid body first, but he feels like it's still not enough, thinking back to the tragedy caused by the Demon King Wrath, feeling a huge wave of pure hate and sadness when he remembers his sister dying so brutally at the hands of those monsters, remembering perfectly well that it was Wrath who opened the gates so the rest of them could invade the world. So, the game plan for Phase 1 is to get ridiculously strong and take out the Demon King Wrath for good. Thinking back to the face of that bloodthirsty beast, the guy who kickstarted all this destruction. So, Isichin realizes he's only got 3 years until the big bad shows up, meaning he's gotta level up insanely fast. Right then, out in the pouring rain, his phone starts buzzing like crazy. He stops his workout to check the screen, since he totally wasn't expecting anyone to call him. Seeing his sister's name Xiaoyun pop up, he completely freezes, realizing she's calling him back. Picking up right away, his whole body tenses up just hearing her voice. On the other end, she sounds super hyped, saying she was at a competition and her phone died. Laughing it off, she mentions the prize money would cover their rent, which straight up makes our MC want to cry. But noticing he's dead silent, she asks about the rain and why he isn't saying a word. With his face completely soaked in rain and tears, Si Chen just smiles, so incredibly relieved to be living this moment again. Cause honestly, going through pure hell is nothing as long as he gets to hear her voice just one more time. But Xiao Yun thinks he's being all weird and mushy, promising they'll meet up right after her event. Hanging up, he stares out at the horizon, absolutely sure that he's getting a real fresh start. He gets back to running with absolute fire in his eyes, knowing he's got to get strong to protect the people he loves. Fast forward 8 hours since his little time trip, he sneaks back into the dorm while everyone's out cold. Hopping in the shower, he notices his body is still pretty weak but way younger and full of potential. Drying off, our guy is already plotting his next moves to make sure he actually survives this time around. Sitting on his bed, he thinks about how the massive guilds completely hog all the demon lairs. Laying his head down, he knows it's only the rich kids who get to level up, and wonders where the heck he's gonna hunt monsters. On top of that, he's trying to crack the code on this whole gluttony power that's just chilling inside him now. Out of nowhere, a black screen pops up with a loading bar booting up the system. As the bar shoots up, the kid's body instantly slips into this crazy deep trance, And once it says complete, the gluttony system officially activates, and he straight up starts falling. Free falling through the void, Si-Chen feels his consciousness getting dragged into a whole other dimension. Managing to steady himself, our kid finally hits the ground. Right in front of him, this massive, twisted tower rises out of some seriously creepy red water. Looking around, he's totally lost, considering he was literally just trying to sleep in his room a second ago. Meanwhile, back in the real world, Ma Long just figures his buddy went out for a jog, completely clueless to what's going down. Staring up at this bizarre tower, Si-Chen asks himself where the heck he ended up this time. Right then, he realizes he's totally surrounded by these twisted creatures straight out of a horror movie. Turns out these nasty beasts are the infamous Rank E Death Hounds. Sensing the danger, a system alert pops up, unlocking a class change right in the middle of the lair. Shifting into a level 1 electric assassin, his speed gets multiplied by 10. With the monsters rushing him all at once, the pack makes it crystal clear they aren't giving him a second to breathe, but moving like a literal lightning bolt, he slices the first enemy clean in half with raw electric power. As soon as the beast drops, an item spawns in the air, dropping some pretty valuable forest loot. Leaping right through their attacks, the absolute massacre keeps going, proving his new strength is seriously legit. He actually finds it pretty hilarious how wrecking these monsters just turned into total child's play. Watching that XP bar shoot up on his screen, the kid realizes this is 100% real and not some fever dream. Right after that, the system announces he finally bumped up to level 2 in his class. Checking his stats, he sees his numbers straight up skyrocket, getting him pumped for a whole lot more action. Smirking, Si-Chen realizes he just scored an exclusive private lair to farm and level up all by himself. But suddenly, a massive roar echoes out, revealing a giant boss monster creeping up right behind him. It roars right in the kid's face, so he decides to use this ugly beast to test his absolute limits. Without even blinking, Si-Chen lands a killer blow on the monster, snagging an absolute mountain of XP. With the victory screen popping up, our guy hits level 3, looting a bunch of rare drops off the corpse, figuring out real quick that the bonus XP from a boss monster is insanely higher than your average mob. Checking out the creature's body, he spots a little tag saying devourable just floating in midair. That totally catches him off guard, having zero clue what that freaky term is supposed to mean right now. And while he's just staring at the carcass, the system keeps insisting that the beast can actually be consumed. Then, a super bright light starts glowing from his hand, making it obvious things are about to get crazy, making the kid wonder if this is the actual true power of his gluttony skill. And just like that, he manages to devour and completely absorb the entire boss monster. The second the process finishes, this totally surreal energy starts rushing through his veins, turning the monster into a literal magic card that grants him a passive cold resistance buff. Realizing instantly that he can just eat his enemies and turn them all into brand new classes, leaving our MC completely speechless, knowing he just bagged the most OP skill in the game. Staring down at his glowing hands, he's absolutely positive that nobody can stop his grind now. Looking at a picture of the Demon King Lanue, he feels this super weird connection to the beast, and that makes him really think about the crazy details of this insane new ability, figuring out that this gluttony power actually belonged to the Demon King himself back in the future. But through some crazy glitch in the universe, that skill got straight up transferred over to him. Plus, the rules of this world dictate that everyone is only ever born with one single class. Except our kid just shattered that rule completely, rocking 2 classes at the exact same time. Realizing that if he just keeps devouring monsters, he could rack up an infinite amount of classes. But even with all that insane potential, he still wonders why he was handed something so dark and sinister. Turning back to stare at the tower, he tries to figure out what the massive secret behind this place actually is. Out of absolutely nowhere, this crushing pressure drops on him, shaking the whole ground and setting off system alarms. Breaking into a cold sweat, our MC is in total shock, trying to wrap his head around where this insane power is coming from. Right then, a shadowy figure steps straight out of the flame, saying he's been waiting for him. Turns out it's the Lord of the Lair, just reeking of this pure aura of death as he calls out Si-Chen's name. And in the blink of an eye, the kid gets sent flying backward, taking the very first hit. He barely manages to stay on his feet, but he already knows this guy is on a completely different level. Thinking back to his past life, he almost straight up died just trying to reach rank S. Except right now his power barely even scrapes rank D, and the monster standing in front of him is a literal rank S boss. Having zero clue how he's gonna pull off a win, since the massive gap in their levels and stats is just absurd. Staring down the beast, he asks himself what kind of messed up lair even spawns a lord this overpowered. Moving at an absolute god tier speed, the monster teleports right behind him for the next strike, landing a hit so impossibly heavy that it launches our hero flying super far away. Pinned to the ground, he struggles to get back up while the monster just mocks him, asking if he's even going to try to fight back, claiming with total confidence that the kid kid has absolutely zero chance of winning this. Catching onto the beast's vibe, our guy realizes the whole plan is just to force him into submission. Then the Shadow Lord drops an offer, telling him they should team up and protect the tower together. With his eyes burning with pure hate, Si-Chen swears he'll never accept being locked up in this place. But the big guy doesn't really vibe with that answer, and instantly throws a slash that tears right into the kid's arm, catching him totally off guard with a crazy level of agility that's literally impossible to predict. Then, the boss straight up tells him the only reason he isn't dead yet is cause he's the only human who can even enter this place. Bleeding pretty bad, Side-Sheen feels the sting and realizes this villain is officially out of patience, with the Lord demanding his answer one last time, as this crazy dark energy completely swallows the arena, making massive rocks float in the air, giving him the ultimate ultimatum: serve him or get crushed. But Si-Chen just shoots him a furious glare and tells him he's already made his choice. Charging in full throttle, he screams that the only acceptable option here is to completely destroy this monster. Thinking it's some hilarious joke, the creature unleashes a barrage of attacks just to end the kid on the spot. But maxing out his agility, he starts parkouring across those floating rocks to close the gap, pumping up his speed and closing in fast, completely ignoring how terrifying a rank S monster is supposed to be. Watching his opponent like a hawk, revealing he's already completely downloaded his attack patterns, since he spotted a tiny half-second window right before the big guy swings that heavy weapon. And just like that, predicting the exact strike, he dodges the blade at the literal last second, looking absolutely epic. Plus, he totally noticed how the giant takes just a bit too long to recover after every brutal swing, deciding to aim right for that opening, since the bad guy is left totally defenseless for a split second, landing a clean hit right on the monster's chest, unleashing an absolutely absurd electric shock into him. Knowing a rank D can't beat an S, but the paralysis from the shock should at least hold the Lord down, triggering his crazy powerful Thunder God skill to do the trick. Running like an absolute madman to get the heck out of there, taking advantage of the stun before it wears off. While booking it, he spots a bright light way in the back, figuring it's his only way out, reaching out for the portal, stretching his hand out and just praying this is the end of his nightmare. But out of nowhere, the glow vanishes and his escape route straight up closes right in his face. Popping up looking super sinister, the villain reveals that the light was just a cheap illusion in the room. Finding the whole thing pretty interesting, the monster actually praises the kid's smarts for finding that opening. Turns out he's the Purgatory Rakshasa, a rank S warrior who actually sees some hope in our MC. Looking at the beast, Si-Chen completely freezes up, cause the guy looks exactly like the Demon King Lanyue. Even with the panic hitting him hard, he takes a deep breath and analyzes the whole thing, trying to stay chill. Thinking back to the final battle from his past life, visualizing that absolute scene of destruction, where the villain showed off his true monster's face, leading a whole army of shadow creatures. On top of that, the enemy could swap between high rank classes like it was nothing, even turning into an ice dragon, fighting through the fire and explosions, noticing that the beast's versatility was just completely unreal, facing down giant root monsters, never giving up on trying to save whatever was left of the world. And among all those freaky forms, one specific image got burned right into his brain, making him connect the dots right now, finally understanding just how messed up this situation really is. Finding it crazy weird how this guardian looks almost totally identical to the Demon King, since the Rakshasa gives off this purple energy and has the exact same build as the old emperor. Right then, it hits him, making him wonder if the Rakshasa got devoured by the gluttony skill and is now living inside his head. Staring at his reflection in the water, the kid gets a massive shock, noticing that the whole tower is literally inside him. Rocking a super creepy face, the monster claims Si-Chen proved he's worthy to inherit absolutely everything. Totally blown away by that bomb drop, he asks himself what that everything is supposed to mean here. Then the Guardian pulls out the triple S rank Void Key, revealing all the sealed monsters. Showing off the key, the Shadow Lord tells the kid he needs to devour every last one of those beasts, so he can get crazy strong and basically use the creatures as fuel to level up. Holding that legendary item, Si-Chen finds it super sus why a monster would want to help him out like this. The guy explains there's actually good and evil even among demons, seeing as his own people got completely wiped out, dropping the truth that he's been waiting forever for payback, and sees the kid as the only way his plan is gonna work. Curious, our MC asks who exactly the beast is talking about when it comes to pulling off this mission. Without giving up too many details, the Lord just points at the tower, saying all the answers are locked up inside. Starting to fade away, the Rakshasa tells him to take the power and make their enemies pay the ultimate price. Feeling kinda sketchy about absorbing the strength of a guy this OP, and wondering if his body can even handle it, showing a totally dark expression destruction. The Lord screams that the kid needs to devour every single thing in his path, warning him that the entities inside are absolute savages and won't go easy on him like he just did. With the pressure cranking up, hearing that he's gotta hold on tight if he wants to reach the top, making the ultimate endgame to devour every last demon king until he becomes the strongest being alive. Turning straight into smoke, the creature's body vanishes, and that crushing pressure finally chills out. Watching his opponent fade out, noticing that only someone made of iron could inherit such an absolutely absurd power. Stretching his hand out, a progress bar pops up, letting him know the transfer was a total success. Shooting straight up to rank 10 and scoring some super rare underworld bones as a reward. Giving a dead serious look, he gets the message and swears to carry on that warrior's will. Wrapping up the process and bagging the Rakshasa card, swearing to get some hardcore payback on their enemies. Right then, the scene cuts to a window showing what looks like a totally normal bedroom. Waking up to some guy yelling, he cracks his eyes open all groggy trying to figure out where he's at. Jumping up in a panic and realizing he's back in his dorm room with his old roommates. Seeing the guys right there, Chen wonders if that whole tower thing was just some crazy realistic fever dream. But then he notices all his cuts are completely gone and his body is totally brand new. Booting up the system, he confirms it was all real, since the items are sitting right there in his inventory. Mind blown seeing that he jumped straight to level 10 in a single night with some seriously busted stats. Just then, Xiang Sua comes over to the bed, making a bunch of noise, asking if he's finally awake. Rocking a super cocky smirk, his roommate mentions he heard rumors about him turning into some incredible fighter. Meanwhile, Shan Yu watches the whole interaction from afar with a super suspicious look on his face. Staring the kid down, the guy asks if he seriously wants to steal the spot as room leader. Then, he drops the news that the rank test is about to kick off, totally dying to see what Chen can actually do, with Sheng Zhuo acting like he doesn't even care about the pressure of such a huge day. Finishing his coffee, he explains that even though everyone looks like a rank E, there are actually sub-levels. Showing off the chart, he brags that the power gap is massive and he could easily take down 10 guys at once. Mocking the whole situation, he figures his own rank has shot way up since the last exam. Right then, Ma Long walks up and hypes his buddy up to try and hit rank D, making Chen ask himself if rank D is seriously supposed to be his current limit. Cutting over to the main courtyard, the anxious vibe completely takes over the crowd for the big event, with everyone whispering about how the whole school showed up early for the test that's gonna be broadcast on the big screen. But the mood totally tanks when Gongchang's goons roll in, just shoving everybody out of the way. Looking like absolute thugs, these jerks keep up a super arrogant attitude. Seeing the gang look their way, Ma Long is scared to death and suggests they just bail. But our MC just stands his ground, looking totally chill and not even slightly bothered by those guys. But the real shocker hits when the bullies' eyes go wide the second they spot the kid, breaking into a cold sweat and turning pale, remembering that absolute monster of a beatdown they caught perfectly well. Bowing down in total humiliation, they start calling Chen Big Bro with some serious respect, leaving Shang Zhuo's jaw on the floor, while Ma Long just rocks a total "I told you so" face, completely ignoring their kissing up. Our MC just keeps walking, proving the whole pecking order has officially flipped. Then, a shout totally cuts the silence and Chen locks eyes on the brand new problem blocking his way. Turns out it's Zhang Jian, a student council officer, stepping up to demand answers for yesterday's brawl. Getting right in his face, he warns him that messing with the president's family is a one-way ticket to trouble. As they stare each other down, the students realize things just got insanely serious. With Ma Long shaking like a leaf, noticing the officer is a solid rank D and is fully locked onto his buddy right now. Leaning in right next to the kid's ear, Jiang Jian whispers that he can literally sniff out strong warriors. But then he lets out a laugh and says on Chen, all he smells is a total lifelong loser. Glaring at the jerk, our MC mocks him, asking if he's a straight-up dog trying to sniff him out. Getting insanely pissed off, the guy lets out a yell with his face completely twisted in rage. Just then, a super commanding voice rings out across the courtyard, ordering the officer to drop the attitude. Turns out it's the big boss Gong Ting himself actually admitting that his little brother started the whole fight, making it clear that it's only fair to pay for your mistakes, completely forcing his goon to back down. Playing it totally cool, the student leader locks onto Chen to size up the threat. Not showing an ounce of fear, the kid holds eye contact, proving he's not easily rattled. With the vibes still super tense, a teacher hops up on stage to officially kick off the rank test. Turning his back to get ready, Gong Ting decides our MC really isn't much of a threat after after all, with the whole place absolutely packed with students dying to find out their brand new ranks. And up on some fancy balcony, someone is watching the massive crowd while just sipping on a cup of tea. Turns out it's the Vice President Ling Yu, smirking because she thinks this test is going to be pretty interesting to watch. An hour later, the announcer calls out Xiangzuo's name to step up for his evaluation. Strutting up there all cocky, the roommate brags that they're finally going to see his true power. Stepping right into the glowing blue portal, totally ready for the challenge that's going to decide his future. Heading completely alone into the dark room, which works exactly like a controlled demon lair. Once inside, he runs into the demon heart, this crazy machine built to absorb pure energy, needing to unleash every last drop of his firepower right in front of the device just to get his strength measured, blasting a massive wave right into the center of the machine, lighting up the whole room. With flames spreading everywhere, the heart processes the attack, soaking up every single drop of energy, and then the gear shoots all that data through the cable straight to the scientists outside. The first result pops up on the big screen, showing he hit a mid-level rank E, but the judges notice the process isn't over yet and stay on the edge of their seats. Right in the middle of a crowd, Ma Long screams, hyping him up, saying the main event is about to start. Since the machine also measures the absolute max potential an awakened can actually reach. Wrapping up the math, the letter C pops up on the screen, locking in his evolution limit. Stepping out of the portal, Xiang Zuai is pretty bummed out that he didn't hit rank D. Seeing his buddy totally crushed, Ma Long tries to cheer him up, saying the other two guys are way worse. Comparing their scores, they realize Ma Long and Xiang Yu are just rank E with a C potential. Right then, the crowd goes totally nuts when the big screen shows a student who bagged rank D with a B potential, driving everyone absolutely crazy because he's the very first rank D student of the year, flashing up on that screen. Right as Zhang Shangjun walks out celebrating like crazy over his rank D and a level A potential, leaving Xiangzua and the crew feeling super down, seeing that there are 8 people ahead of them, and the teachers even mention that this class is absolutely packed with talent for graduation. Then, the spotlight shifts to a brand new candidate who's already stepping up to the testing stage. Turns out it's Gong Ting, the student council president, walking in looking like an absolute champ, making the crowd scream their lungs out since he's the heir to the Imperial Guild and dripping with status. But Si Chen just watches from afar, not even a little bit impressed by this whole little show. The big screen shows the president was already rank D, leaving everyone guessing what his new level is going to be. Inside the room, he stares down the demon heart that's beating super hard, making this seriously creepy sound. Just then, the freaky machine's eye snaps open, locking onto the leader's totally crushing presence in the room. Standing right in front of it, Gonting gets ready to unleash his energy and completely show off, but he decides to hold back a bit of his strength just to save the real jaw-dropper for graduation. Even so, he swears he's gonna smash every single record and become the undisputed #1 in the school. And the big screen starts processing the data, with the bar shooting up pointing to something totally absurd, leaving the judge with his jaw on the floor, seeing the color of the result glowing on the screen. With everyone noticing he hit high rank D, but what really drops them is that insane S potential, making the crowd go absolutely wild, whispering that they've never seen anything like this in the whole college. With Jiang Jian leading the hype train, screaming that the president is practically a god. Ma Long is totally mind-blown by this historic moment, while Si Chen just watches looking completely chill. And the scientists actually find a result so busted that they send out an urgent report right away, with the teachers pointing out that a guy with this level is a literal treasure for the government itself. Keeping a cocky little smirk, Gonting is just soaking up his glory on the national news. Up on the roof, director Yuan Long mentions he was totally expecting this kind of performance. Noticing that Ling Yu doesn't even look surprised, he asks if she just showed up for the kid's little flex. Keeping it totally classy, the vice president says she's definitely not just here for him. With a super intense look, she reveals there's another student catching way more of her attention, locking all her interest right onto Sichin, who's just about to step up for the official test. And then the announcer calls our MC's name as he gets ready to show off his actual true power. Acting super snarky, Jian tells the kid to try and bring at least a little honor to his room. Laughing it up, the jerk says all 4 of them are about to become the biggest joke in the university, mocking them even harder, seeing that his buddy's stats on the big screen are embarrassingly low. Totally losing his cool, Ma Long screams at the idiot to just wait and see the massive shock they're about to get. With the kid's name flashing on the screen, he walks straight up to the portal with all eyes on him, watching him walk in. Xiang Zuo wonders if he's actually gonna pull off a literal miracle today. Now inside the dark room, Si Chen stares down the demon heart covered in cables right in the middle. Right then, the machine's eye snaps open and locks onto him, sensing a seriously heavy energy in the room. Rocking glowing red eyes, he knows he needs a solid test score if he wants to get into a real Guild, figuring out that the combat exam is his one and only shot to prove what he's worth and actually make it, since the rules let them form teams of up to 10 people to take on the challenges, and the squad that grabs first place gets a straight shot recruiting deal with the Imperial Guild. Outside, Zhangjian introduces their newest ally to the boss, hyping him up as a solid rank D, locking in 9 rank D members for the bad guys team, thinking they already got this win in the bag, with the crew celebrating, having absolutely zero clue about the insane surprise our boy's cooking up. Meanwhile, everyone treats our MC's team like a bunch of total losers, making Ma Long's sweat bullets totally confused about why his buddy is taking so long in there, with a main screen just glowing blue and showing 0 stats, cranking the suspense way up for the crowd. Right then, some students start mocking him, saying his power is just way too weak to even be read. And Jiang Jian tells the president not to waste his time on this and just head straight to karaoke. Agreeing on the spot, Gongting decides to dip and tells him to call up the rest of the squad. But suddenly, the board hits a massive glitch and starts processing the data super aggressively, slashing a high rank D right in the middle of the screen, leaving the whole stadium in absolute dead silence. Dropping his buddy's jaws, completely unable to believe the kid actually made it that far. Jumping for joy, Ma Long screams, "I told you so," to everyone, celebrating like he's the one who just scored it, while the president and his goon completely freeze up, unable to wrap their heads around this busted result. Inside, the demon heart throws a critical error, and the system asks him to retake the test. Staying totally chill, Si Chen notices that just his base stats alone are already hitting peak rank D. Then, a class change message pops up, right on the verge of unleashing something seriously freaky. Taking on the form of the Death King, he decides to just test out his weakest class on the machine, with the panel completely bugging out and the sound of crazy static grabbing everyone's attention, flashing the letter C super bright on the big screen, leaving the entire crowd totally speechless. Screaming non-stop, his roommates completely lose their minds watching his level jump up all over again, making Gongting freak out and wonder if the machine is straight up broken, and the scientists are sweating bullets over the changes, suspecting some massive glitch in the system. Meanwhile, the demon heart is seriously struggling just to process his massive energy output. Deciding to push things even further, our MC triggers yet another class change, turning into the Purgatory Rakshasa, flexing a totally sinister look and filling the room with this dark purple aura. Staring down the machine's eye, the kid realizes the gear is literally about to completely collapse, spawning this violent vortex of purple energy that rips through everything around it crazy hard, with a totally dark tornado packed with lightning tearing through the sky and making the whole vibe super creepy. Staring up at the sky in pure terror, the crowd asks themselves what the heck is even happening in that evaluation, and his buddies are calling it a literal miracle, seeing that their dorm room actually has a god-tier monster living in it. But the panel starts glitching out horribly again, trying to calculate our hero's actual rank and final potential, until a glowing yellow S pops up, locking in the most absolutely busted potential ever, leaving the scientists completely freaking out seeing another S-level drop, practically questioning reality. Sweating bullets, Gongting stares at the scene, totally unable to process that our MC just hit his level. Right then, the system drops a red alert with the letter S, flashing right through all the static, and the big screen completely breaks, throwing an error message that spells out a total system meltdown, cause our MC's power just blew past the max limit, making the whole thing literally impossible to measure. Completely terrified, Zhangjiang lets out a scream, completely shook by this insane reveal, until a massive explosion rips right out of the portal, blasting debris everywhere and shaking the whole place. Sprinting into the danger zone, the guys yell about the overload and try to pull the kid out fast. Running into the dark room, they find everything completely trashed with blue lightning arcing all over the cables. Staring down our MC, the scientist loses his voice, seeing the kid just standing there without a single scratch on him. And checking out the machine, they notice the core turned dead gray like it got completely drained. Walking out looking totally chill, Si Chen just ignores everyone crying over their super expensive broken gear, thinking to himself. He admits he kinda pushed his luck and totally choked out the machine's engine. But then he reveals that his gluttony skill literally just devoured the core, scoring him a rank A power right on the spot. Walking out of the wrecked portal looking like an absolute champ, leaving the crowd completely clueless. Triggering his brand new power, his eyes glow as he awakens the demon heart's skill. Strolling through the crowd, he realizes he can actually see everybody's true rank now, and notices that nobody can hide their power level anymore thanks to this OP technique. Locking onto Gongting, he figures out the president was secretly hiding a mid-C rank. Up on stage, the judges are practically crying over their gear and shut down the tests just to be safe, announcing to the courtyard that his score had to be a glitch, telling everyone to come back tomorrow. Totally ignoring the chaos, Ma Long jumps for joy and is already asking what the genius wants for dinner, but Zhang Jian pops up screaming, swearing the whole thing was just a bug and that the kid's still a total loser. Foaming at the mouth, the jerk blames him for the broken machine and for totally wasting their time. With things heating up, Sai-chen lets out this crazy, dangerous energy from his hand while staring the guy down, rocking a dark look, wondering if it wouldn't be a solid idea to teach this scumbag a hardcore lesson. Right then, Gong Ting breaks up the fight and tells his goon not to disrespect a teammate, leaving the bully completely shocked, unable to believe his boss actually considers him a new member. Holding out his hand, the president straight up invites the kid to join his official squad, and Si-chen just stares at the wild offer, with everybody totally tense waiting for his final answer, dropping the entire courtyard's jaws over this direct invite to the literal elite team. But Zhang Jian starts freaking out, realizing that if the kid joins, somebody is gonna get kicked out, asking himself what gives this guy the right to get an honor that people would pay absolute fortunes for. But even boiling with pure rage, he knows he absolutely can't go against his leader's word. Forcing a totally fake smile, he tries to welcome him, pretending everything is completely cool, but our MC just turns his back on him and bluntly says he's just not interested, catching Jian totally off guard, unable to believe anyone would actually turn down that offer. With total silence taking over, Gong Ting stares at the kid, trying to wrap his head around getting rejected. Screaming, the goon asks if he lost his mind, but our MC just says that sounds like a him problem, telling the guy he's way too loud and ordering him to never bother him again, making the bully absolutely furious while the kid just walks away looking completely chill. In the crowd, the students are gossiping non-stop about the sheer guts it takes to stand up to the president like that, suspecting that our hero wants to grab first place all by himself after dropping that crazy score. And his dorm buddies just can't hold it in, laughing at the dumb looks on the villains' faces, getting totally humiliated. Keeping his cool act up, Gong Ting pretends it's all good, figuring his new rival has some other plans. As the courtyard clears out, you can totally tell that the heavy tension is still hanging in the air. Up on the balcony, director Yuan Long sighs over the prodigies not teaming up for a historic squad, but the vice president Ling Yu just flashes a smirk, thinking things actually got way more fun, explaining that Gong Ting has always had it all, so this rejection basically sounded like a declaration of war. Keeping a dead cold stare, the student leader shows he's definitely not gonna let this slide. Meanwhile, Zhang Jian stays absolutely pissed, swearing the kid only got hyped up because of a machine glitch. But the president thinks the test score might be totally real and swears he won't lose his #1 spot. Full of malice, the goon points out that the kid has exactly 0 real combat experience, suggesting they teach the kid a painful lesson. But Gong Ting asks if he really looks like a jealous hater. Deciding to bounce, he tells the crew they need to solve their own problems without dropping his name. But with a totally sinister glare, he makes it clear that whatever they pull off won't have absolutely anything to do with him, leaving Zhang Jian dead silent, just processing the total freedom he was just handed, with a twisted smile creeping up as he realizes he just got the green light to hunt the kid down whenever he wants. 10 minutes later, some informant drops the news that the kid literally vanished from the campus, confirming he heard him say he was heading home early without even grabbing a bite to eat. Crushing a can on the ground, Jiang Jian celebrates, thinking the heavens are practically handing him his revenge, claiming that outside of school it's gonna be way easier to completely end the kid with 0 witnesses around. Meanwhile, Si-chen is just walking around totally chill, vibing to the music in his headphones, strolling through a totally deserted area, laser focused on his plans to change the fate of this world, also thinking back to when an elite guild caught a massive, brutal tragedy inside a lair, all because they ran straight into the Beast Rat, a monster thirsty for pure, absolute destruction, wiping out the entire squad using giant tentacles just to spread absolute chaos on Earth. Since that's his one and only clue, he knows he's gotta move fast before the nightmare repeats itself. Needing some fast cash to track the beast down, he heads straight over to the Mithril Market. Walking in, Si-chen remembers that this place is gonna blow up into the biggest trading hub in the country. Checking out the weapons, he knows selling off items is the fastest way to stack up profit right now. So, he drops a few monster things right on the counter and waits to see the clerk's reaction. Picking up the piece, the guy is completely blown away seeing a student holding such a super rare item, wondering how somebody so young actually scored some insanely valuable material he's literally never seen before. Right then, the pink-haired clerk realizes it's a fang from a legendary rank E beast, but the appraiser totally kills her vibe, telling her to quit yapping about nothing. grumbling that the shop is strictly for VIPs, and they usually only deal with rank D stuff and above. All because business has been totally dead and he's dreaming big about becoming a supervisor. Looking at the kid with pure disgust, he just assumes he's completely broke and dumps the boring work on the rookie. Sneaking off, he tells little Lee to handle the whole thing, pretending he actually trusts her. Getting the cash, he sees that the 18 fangs bagged him 18,000 for his rent, but he decides to show off a little something extra and starts focusing a bit of his energy. Pulling out this bizarre sword out of thin air, he asks the clerk to take a really good look at it. Totally mesmerized by how it looks, Lee says the weapon is the most badass thing in the entire world. Analyzing the piece, she guesses the gear has gotta be rank B, or maybe even a straight up rank A, but the appraiser comes back laughing, pointing out that a rank A item easily goes for over 1 million, until this super classy guy pops up out of nowhere, totally agreeing that the weapon isn't rank A or B. Thinking he won, the clerk mocks him, swearing the boss just confirmed the thing is total garbage. Except the manager reveals that the sword actually came from Purgatory and is a literal legendary rank S, sending the appraiser into a complete panic for openly mocking an absolutely priceless treasure. Right away, the manager shakes the kid's hand super firmly just to show some real respect, welcoming the guy and already treating him like a seriously VIP guest, inviting the kid into the VIP room, telling him he can literally ask for anything he wants in there, flashing a quick smirk, since meeting this exact guy was fully part of the master plan. Turns out this guy is named Ching-ji, an absolutely key player for our hero's future. Pouring some tea, the manager gets ready to talk numbers and negotiate with the kid, asking him straight up how much he's looking to get to part ways with that piece of gear. Answering super bluntly, the kid says he just wants 1 million right on the spot, making the manager think he completely lost his mind since that asking price is insanely low, explaining that literally any rank S weapon can go for tens of millions on the open market, but the kid lets him know he just wants to use the weapon as collateral for a 1-month loan, leaving the guy super intrigued about where a random student even got a crazy idea like that. Noticing this customer is definitely not average, even asking if he's some rich kid running away from home, doubling down on the deal to pay it all back in 1 month, offering him 10% interest on top, dismissing his assistant Lee right on the spot so they can talk serious business. Adjusting his glasses, Ching-ji remembers the kid is from the Awakened University, figuring out that the prize for the annual graduation exam is exactly 1 million bucks, coming up in 1 month. Rocking a super clever smirk, the manager puts the whole plan together and sets up his own move, asking him dead on if the kid is seriously that confident he's gonna sweep the whole tournament, deducing the kid desperately needs this cash like yesterday and just decided to bet it all. Spotting an absolute golden opportunity, he decides to go all in on this crazy customer, offering him a straight up cash loan of 1.5 million with 0 interest for 1 month. Holding out his hand, Ching-ji suggests this deal should be the start of a massive partnership, leaving the kid in totally dead silence for a quick second, just trying to process that sick offer. Sealing the deal, the guy promises to keep things strictly confidential and just asks the kid to make his shop his #1 spot. Our MC actually finds the manager super impressive for catching on to everything without trying to pull a fast one on him. Shaking on it, he knows that if he's gonna take down the demon, Wrath, having some solid allies is definitely gonna come in handy, officially locking in his very first major heavyweight partnership. Right after that, a glowing magic contract pops up to make the whole deal official. Smiling, the manager gives him a heads up that the cash was transferred, and the kid's phone buzzes right on cue. Totally curious, Ching-ji asks what he's planning to use for the exam now, even offering to hook him up with some gear. Looking over his stash, the guy admits he's fresh out of rank S stuff but offers some pretty sweet rank A and B options, politely turning him down. Our guy just says he's all good and doesn't need anything, spawning a second sword right on the spot that looks exactly like the one he just handed over as collateral, dropping absolutely everyone's jaws, leaving them totally clueless about where the heck that came from. As the kid walks out, Ching-ji just chuckles about how insanely talented kids are these days. Then he turns and thanks little Lee for her help, straight up promoting the girl to supervisor right there. Stepping out the front door, the kid remembers he's got one more little thing to take care of, realizing he needs to grab a super specific item if he wants to keep his master plan moving. Booking it out of there, he hops straight into a cab heading for his next stop, pulling up to the Changchang bus terminal, totally ready for a seriously important trip. Standing there, his mind flashes back to his past life, where his family struggled so much just because he wasn't an awakened. In those memories, he sees himself grinding away as a delivery guy just to barely scrape together rent money. Back in the day, whatever was left in his bank account barely even hit 105 bucks. Thinking back to how he and his sister Uni were living on the absolute edge, with her constantly trying to help him out, Then he remembers looking at the acceptance letter Si-yoon got from the Art Institute. Tearing the paper up back then, the girl was acting super hyped that she actually passed the test, but she ended up giving up her spot just so she wouldn't be a financial burden on her big brother. Snapping back to the present, the kid checks his phone, figuring Yunny's probably already here, until a super familiar voice shouts out from a distance, calling him Big Bro. Running right up to him, Yunny starts scolding him right off the bat, telling him he should have waited outside. Dragging her suitcase, she jokes about how they're totally broke again, exactly like the old days. Completely frozen, he realizes it's been 7 whole years since he last saw that smile. Snapping him back to reality, the girl asks for a little help with her bags. Getting kinda annoyed that he's spacing out, she asks why he's just standing there like a statue, but instead of answering, the kid just runs straight at her and pulls her into a massive hug, catching her totally off guard, since he's acting like he literally hasn't seen her in 7 years. Whispering, he agrees, quietly saying it really has been 7 years since the last time, except the hug is so insanely tight that the poor girl can barely even breathe. Complaining about being totally squished, Yunny yells, asking if he's trying to straight up crush her right there on the spot. Letting her go, his sister thinks the whole thing is super weird and jokes about whether he just got dumped or something. Walking together, the girl just keeps talking non-stop, while our guy is just quietly soaking it all in. Looking over at her, our MC is absolutely certain that everything's gonna be completely different this time around. Cracking a soft smile, he swears to himself that he's never gonna let her suffer ever again. But not too far away, a little group of goons is creeping on the two of them, giving the order. The leader tells the crew to stay hidden so they can jump the kid at the perfect moment. Flashing an evil smirk, the guy swears he's about to teach our hero a seriously painful lesson. Right then, one of his goons nervously points out that there are a ton of student council guys roaming the area, taking a drag from his cigarette. The leader says the kid's cocky attitude just pissed him off way too much, remembering exactly how our MC told him to shut his mouth and stop bothering him. Yelling in pure rage, another goon begs to jump in, totally eager to beat the crap out of the kid. Pulling out a dagger, the boss Kyung-di brags about being the absolute top assassin in the whole school. Miles away from all that drama, our MC and his sister are just chilling and walking down the overpass. Sipping her juice box, Yunny mentions he's been acting kinda weird lately cause of the big exam coming up. Looking up at him, the girl teases him, pointing out that he's normally never this emotional. Giving him a whole little lecture, Seon tells him to stay focused and remember that new opportunities always pop up. Trying to lighten the mood, the girl even starts humming a little song as they walk. Smiling, the kid realizes just how smart she really is, even without having a clue about his awakening. Trying to chill his sister out, he swears everything is totally fine, but she just assumes it's his pride talking. Acting all annoyed, Yunny jokes about how guys just close themselves off over time and that he's already turning into an old man. Turning down a completely empty street, the duo is getting watched by some creepy figure hiding in the dark. Spotting them, one of the thugs gives the boss a heads up that their target is walking with some girl. Smirking, Chang-di absolutely loves that the alley has 0 cameras, calling it their lucky day. Right then, the kid stops dead in his tracks after catching a familiar scent, going into absolute high alert. He figures out real quick that the smell belongs to those student council goons creeping up on him. Glaring into the dark, our MC thinks it's honestly wild that these guys actually had the guts to show up. Playing it totally cool, he pops in a wireless earbud, already gearing up for a brawl. Popping the other earbud into his sister's ear, the kid gets completely ready for the showdown about to go down. Telling her he's totally hooked on this one song, he tells her to take a listen, totally surprising the girl. Closing her eyes to vibe with the track, Si-yoon thinks about how music really reflects whatever's going on in someone's head. Making up her mind, she really focuses on the beat to try and figure out what her brother is going through. Turning around with his eyes glowing, he stares down the enemies while his sister is completely lost in the song. Right then, the goons step out, showing they're all just rank E and D, which is insanely beneath his level. With the music bumping, the lyrics start singing about skies shattering and sad goodbyes with a super dark vibe. Right after the track talks about days just fading away into a countdown for the end of the world. Flashing back to the past, he remembers exactly what it felt like losing his family before his little time travel trip. With a look of pure fury, he realizes this is literally the first time he's seen his family in 7 whole years. Boiling with absolute rage, he hates these punks for trying to ruin such a crazy special moment. In one ridiculously fast and heavy move, he lands a massive punch right into one of the goons' faces. Totally shocked, another bully watches his buddy get sent flying from the impact, sweating bullets in pure fear. While the brawl kicks off, Yuni keeps her eyes shut tight, just completely vibing to the music, and the track just keeps playing while the kid literally glows with energy, taking on the whole squad. Completely terrified, one of the attackers screams his lungs out, seeing our hero's totally absurd strength. Without giving a single guy a chance to breathe, he unloads a crazy combo of strikes that wipes out the whole group. Moving like an absolute lightning bolt, the kid drops his enemies perfectly on beat with the track. Looking totally desperate, one of the last goons actually tries to throw a straight punch right at our guy. Effortlessly, he just reaches out and catches the punch midair, completely taking control of the fight. Bending the dude's arm back with a nasty snap, he flexes his absolutely crushing strength. Screaming in pure agony, the goon completely panics right as the song hits the chorus. With zero mercy, he just squeezes the guy's arm even harder, making him scream like crazy. Letting out a massive burst of energy, he sends those guys flying away just to keep his sister totally safe. Absolutely horrified, the leader Kyundi is in total shock, completely unable to wrap his head around the kid's crazy power, asking himself how the hell he got so OP. The boss watches the kid channel even more insane energy. Pushing forward without skipping a beat, he dodges a bat swing and follows up with a heavy-hitting punch straight into the enemy. With his fist literally glowing, he knocks out another goon with a dead center hit right to the face. After dropping absolutely everybody, he finally steps right up face to face with the boss himself. Even though he's sweating bullets, Kyundi tries to act tough, screaming that he's the top assassin in the whole school. Completely furious, the guy just starts ranting, asking if our MC actually thinks he's straight up invincible. Moving faster than light, our hero lands a punch that sends the guy's dagger flying out of his hand. Getting violently tossed, the leader's body goes skidding super far from the crazy impact. Not even losing his rhythm, the kid spins around and drops another guy trying to sneak up on him from behind. Locking back onto his main target, he lands another massive punch right in the guy's face. Throwing a crazy powerful hook, he totally finishes off Kyundi, who drops to the ground completely wrecked, launching the big boss's body super far down the alley. Slamming violently into the ground, the boss's body drops hard, kicking up a massive cloud of dust. Looking up from the ground, our MC's silhouette straight up dominates the sky, rocking glowing red eyes, leaving the enemy completely frozen as he feels that insanely dark, crushing presence. Staring down at the knocked out punk, the kid reminds him he already told them to back off, asking exactly what part of that totally clear warning this meathead just couldn't understand. Feeling his completely shattered ribs and legs, Chiangdi seriously doubts the kid's rank is just a totally average D. Snatching the guy's knife, our hero drops a warning that he's going to end him right there if he makes even a single sound. Absolutely terrified, the boss can tell just by the kid's dead stare that this definitely isn't an empty threat. Sweating bullets, he just can't wrap his head around how some random student is rocking such a terrifying aura. Dropping one final warning, the kid tells him to listen up and carve every single word right into his brain. Pointing at the goons, he makes it crystal clear he never wants to see a single one of their faces again. Correcting himself real quick, he warns that if they ever show up in front of his sister, things are gonna get seriously ugly. With his eyes flashing bright red, he straight up swears to wipe every single one of them completely off the map. Shaking in his boots, the gang boss can't do anything but furiously nod his head. Yes. Then the kid just turns his back and walks off, leaving the totally wrecked boss eating dust. Meanwhile, Yuni is just listening to that track about cloudy skies and suddenly gets this really heavy feeling in her chest. Letting a tear drop, the girl has totally no clue why this tune is hitting her right in the feels. She finds it super weird how her brother acts like he's been through absolute hell, especially since she's literally always been right there with him. Popping out the earbud, Si-yoon calls out to him, asking if he isn't taking this whole moody joke a bit too far. Stopping right in front of her, the kid just holds out a little gift box. Flashing a smile, he tells her he picked it up just for her, revealing this totally gorgeous gold pen. Her jaw just totally drops, recognizing the item as an absolutely top-tier magic pen. Completely shocked, she points out that thing easily costs over 10,000 bucks and asks where the heck he got that kind of cash. Seeing how worried she is, it just makes him think back to how badly he failed to protect his sister's dream in the past. Clenching his fist, our MC promises himself that in this timeline he's absolutely gonna take care of everything for her. Way off in the dark alley, those goons are just groaning in pure pain, literally begging for a doctor. Cutting back to the siblings, the girl tests out her new gift, and it instantly starts glowing with this crazy bright pink light. Totally amazed, Yuni draws a fish right in the air, unable to believe the magic actually works for real. Happily chowing down, the kid compliments his sister's cooking and feels super relieved she liked the gift. Still kinda worried, Si-yoon scolds him for dropping so much cash, reminding him that rent is about to be due. Playing it totally cool, RMC drops the bomb that he already paid their rent for the entire year, leaving her completely speechless. Playing it off, he makes up some story about starting a little side hustle with a buddy and that the cash is finally rolling in. Not buying that totally fake story for a second, Yuni calls him out for being a terrible liar and keeping way too many secrets. But flashing him a softer look, she catches his vibe and just decides to let it go. Seeing that super genuine smile on his face, she realizes it's been absolutely forever since she saw him looking this happy. Putting a hand right on her brother's shoulder, the girl leans in, feeling super caring, just asking him to be super careful and promise not to push himself way past his limits. Flashing the soft smile, our hero just nods his head, yes, totally agreeing to her request. Cutting to another part of the city, we find out that Cheong-di completely broke like 60% of his whole body. Standing in front of a giant fish tank, Sum-dai points out that not even the best doctor in town could fix him up anytime soon. Totally mind-blown seeing that the goon actually tried to step to Si-chen and ended up completely wrecked. Chilling in a totally fancy armchair, some woman says Cheong-di is officially out of the upcoming school exam. Shrugging it off, the guy says he honestly couldn't care less, since his team is way better off without deadweight anyway. Just then, this super imposing dude rocking a mustache walks right into the room. Turns out it's director Gong Shuan, who recognizes the kid and totally grumbles about it being Si-chen causing trouble all over again. Watching the fish in the tank, the director locks in the latest test results. Glaring at the guy, he drops the news that Si-chen actually hit rank C, making him the only kid in the whole school ranked above him, not even making a single peep. The totally arrogant Gong family rich kid just listens in dead silence, warning him that his dad straight up invited the vice president of the alliance to watch the exam, basically demanding a flawless victory. Doubling down on the plan, the director flashes an evil smirk and says that if things happen to go south, looking over at his niece, he tells her she might just have to steal a spot right on the guy's team. Dripping with confidence, the guy tells the director he's straight up stressing out over absolutely nothing. Flashing a cocky little smirk, he asks if he seriously thinks he went all out during the rank test. Swearing he's got this win in the bag, he tells his uncle to chill out, cause on the day of the combat exam he's gonna totally prove. With a dead serious look, he promises to show absolutely everyone who the real strongest guy in school actually is. Later back in his room, RMC figures he's finally done with his totally brutal daily weighted run. Hitting the shower, he thinks about how now that the cash situation is handled, his master plan is really about to kick off. Laser focused on the next step, the whole goal is to snatch that exam prize money so he can pay off his massive debt. Totally locked in, he knows he's got to honor that deal if he wants to keep that VIP shop open for business. Chilling on his bed, the kid does the math and realizes he's got less than a month before the big exam, deciding he absolutely needs to grind a few more levels before stepping into that crazy test. Right then, the system boot screen pops up, just magically floating right in front of his face. Right Esther's at the alert flashes saying the gluttony system is officially online and totally good to go. In the blink of an eye, he straight up teleports right in front of that massive, sinister tower stretching all the way into the sky. Standing at the base, our MC just stares at the crazy surreal size of this tower against that totally chaotic red sky. Checking out his powers, he notices that his Hound King is actually his weakest class, sitting right at rank C. And the Abyssal Demon doesn't even have an official rank since it literally breaks the system, totally limiting how much he can use it. Looking over his Star Warrior and Lightning Assassin classes, their exact ranks are still a total mystery. But then he pulls out the Time Rift key, the one and only thing that can actually pop open the tower's front gate. Activating the artifact, this massive gate flies wide open, revealing a crazy glowing purple portal. Totally pumped to test his own absolute limits, he stares into the portal, super curious about what's waiting for him on the other side, getting completely swallowed up by the crazy energy vortex right on the spot. Spawning into this completely bizarre zone, the kid looks around trying to make sense of the whole place. Landing straight in the Fallen Star Desert, he's looking at a seriously alien-looking wasteland, getting even more confused by that super freaky starry sky packed with glowing purple lights. But right away the kid totally drops to the floor, feeling this absolutely crushing force pinning his body down. Struggling to even move, he realizes the gravity in this place is a totally insane 10 times heavier than normal. Noticing his exit straight up vanished, he figures out he's gotta wreck the boss while stuck at just a third of his totally normal strength. Right then, a giant purple paw stomps down crazy hard right in front of our boy, revealing itself as a massive phantom lion. A legit rank B Star Warrior beast. Super fast, a screen pops up showing the kid is pulling off a class change. Taking a deep breath, his hand sparks with yellow lightning during that ridiculously fast transformation. Morphing into his lightning assassin class, he straight up glares down the big boss of this totally insane tower floor. Without giving him a single second to breathe, the monster lunges at him totally ready for a lethal hit. Dodging crazy fast, our hero barely escapes the totally deadly claws of that shadow beast. Feeling the crushing weight of the gravity, he realizes he needs to end this whole fight as fast as physically possible. Rushing in for an attack, his dagger totally lands, but the system drops a warning that the hit straight up failed, catching our hero totally off guard, completely lost on how he could have bricked such a perfect strike. Realizing the insane gravity totally killed his speed, wiping out his entire assassin advantage. Seeing the monster moving so crazy fast, he wonders if this is seriously just the totally normal difficulty for the Purgatory Tower. With zero time to even think, he ends up catching a massive swipe dead on from the purple beast. With his eyes flashing bright blue, he decides to trigger his completely busted Purgatory Rakshasa class. Now rocking his Star Warrior form, bagging some serious brute strength and totally crazy gravity control. Figuring out that every class has its totally unique advantage when a brawl drags out into a long fistfight. Charging right back in, he lands a super heavy punch squarely on the Phantom Lion's snout, stacking the gravity totally in his favor and cranking his punch's power up by like 6 times. Using this ridiculously heavy environment to his advantage just to multiply the impact by a whole 60 times, making the massive monster roar out in pure pain, catching it completely off guard. But the creature refuses to quit and tries to clap back by blasting a totally massive energy beam right at him. Boiling with pure rage, our MC swears absolutely nothing is going to stop him, triggering his totally busted maximum calamity skill. Panting and completely out of gas, just leaning his hand against the completely wrecked ground, watching the beast turn to dust in the crater and scoring a Phantom Lion bone. And right after that he bags 12,000 XP, hitting level 11. Realizing that having 11 stars makes the Rakshasa hit way harder, but taking down a rank B monster took absolutely everything out of him, totally exposing his limits. But taking a second to think about it, something is seriously off here. Looking at the beast's remains, he notices the Devour option never even popped up. On top of that, the freaking portal to the next floor hasn't even shown up yet. Slowly, the whole thing starts clicking for the kid, and out of nowhere this bizarre rift just tears right through the air, spawning a massive portal that looks exactly like a black hole right in the middle of the room, with dozens of glowing eyes creeping out from deep inside the darkness. Totally panicking, he asks himself if that guy wasn't even the floor boss, realizing that Tough Lion was literally just a grunt in the middle of the horde. Without even a second to blink, he catches a hit from behind and drops hard. Getting completely surrounded on all sides, the warning finally makes sense to him, remembering that opening this door would bring absolutely nothing but endless pain. Taking a beating, a voice in his head tells him to just hold on tight. All banged up, his drive to win needs to speak way louder right now. Waking up with a massive jump, completely drenched in sweat back in his room, taking a deep breath, he sits up in bed totally relieved it was all just a bad nightmare. But the phantom pain in his muscles tells him that dream was actually super real. Figuring out there are no shortcuts, and his total grind to purgatory has barely even started. Fast forwarding to May 20th for the highly anticipated combat exam at school. Watching from the judge's table, the director stares down all the students, while the crowd is whispering about how all the big shot guild leaders showed up to watch, making it crystal clear exactly why the rules got switched up this year. Cause now every single team needs 5 members and at least a high rank E. The gossip is flying until the director asks for silence on the mic, letting everyone know their ranks just dropped right to their wristbands, making the whole crowd rush to check their scores on the little screens. Seeing the golden boy Gonting shining right at the top with a solid rank D, but some kid with glasses points at the list totally freaked out, spotting that Si Chen's name plummeted all the way to the bottom as a low rank E. Nobody can believe how the prodigy kid tanked his level that hard, remembering that his practical test actually scored a beautiful rank C. Rumors are spreading like wildfire that his demon heart straight up broke and he lost all his power. Watching the drama, our MC knows absolutely nobody is going to want to team up with him now, with the crowd mocking him, saying he's got to be regretting turning down that elite invite. Just watching from a distance, Gonting is totally soaking up the little show in silence, while his shady uncle analyzes the whole thing from the main table, wondering when his nephew is finally going to learn to use some actual malice to win, making totally sure the rival won't even get a single chance to step foot in the arena. With the green light from the instructor, the total scramble for teams officially kicks off. with a literal mob of students begging for a spot on Gongting's squad, offering absolutely everything from healing magic to straight up being his servants, getting kicked out by some kiss-up who tells them there's only one single spot left. Half an hour later, the teams are totally locking in and celebrating like they already won. But our boy and his crew are left totally alone in a little corner of the room, grumbling that even after straight up begging, absolutely nobody wanted to join their squad. Super worried, he points out that with only 4 people they won't even be allowed to take the exam. Finding the whole thing super sus, the nerd just can't figure out how our MC's rank tanked so hard. Catching on to the BS, he explains this whole 5-man rule was literally made just to screw them over. Thinking about it, this battle is their one and only shot to shine and lock down a real future as a team. And since the monsters scale with the team size, bringing more people doesn't actually make things any easier. That's exactly why even the guys who got left out of the rich kids squad are avoiding carrying dead weight in the test. Exposing massive problem, the list shows that the absolute 3 worst rank ES are literally from the same room. Right then, some student calls over Xiangzhua, our MC's buddy who actually has an average rank, inviting him to their squad. They ask if he's seriously gonna sync with the 3 losers from his dorm. Watching all this go down, the kid figures out that the 3 guys with low E ranks are gonna get totally tossed aside, getting the trio straight up disqualified from the big exam, just cause they don't have enough team members. Turning his face away looking kinda awkward, the good buddy Xianzhua quickly drops a totally sincere apology. But he totally rejects the offer on the spot, saying he's locked in with his friends and isn't abandoning anyone. Getting pissed off, the guy calls him ungrateful, claiming he was literally just a filler pick anyway. Meanwhile, the main board fills up crazy fast, showing that pretty much everybody's already got a team. Totally panicking, the nerd points out they're only missing 1 single member, but nobody wants to join their squad. Keeping it completely cool, our boy just watches the whole trainwreck go down in absolute dead silence. Thinking about it, he remembers that director Gong Xuan shares the exact same last name as his biggest rival. Connecting the dots, he realizes the old man changed the rules and totally rigged his rank on purpose. Determined to fight no matter what, he decides to hit back at the provocation by switching up his class. Covered in yellow lightning, our hero drops the warning that he's officially done holding back against anybody. Catching the scene, an instructor points out that proving your strength doesn't just have to happen during the actual test. Jumping in shock, Ma Long screams right away, completely lost on what the heck his buddy is pulling now. Cause the school actually has a tradition of allowing one-on-one duels literally at any time of the day. Rocking a super sharp glare, he gets ready, pulling a seriously bold move just to flex his actual true power, dropping everybody's jaws since they all think absolutely nobody would accept a totally random challenge like that. Totally sure the rich kid is gonna chicken out, while Gong Ting just stares him down looking dead serious, laser focused on his plan. He knows that if he beats his rival right now, people will straight up beg to join his team. But out of absolutely nowhere, a voice calls out to him, asking if his team still has room for one more. Looking back, he spots this gorgeous girl saying she also totally wants to jump into the final exam, giving them a heads up that she hit rank D back in middle school, so she definitely won't be dead weight on the squad. Leaving his jaw on the floor, the nerd completely freaks out, having zero clue how his buddy even knows the beautiful Ling Yu, leaving Gong Ting in complete shock, unable to process what kind of crazy stuff the girl just spat out, dropping such a massive surprise that it actually makes the director choke super hard on his drink right on the spot. Walking up looking completely determined, the sound of the girl's heels just echoes across the totally silent room, getting the crowd gossiping over why the literal genius vice president would ever team up with a total loser. Foaming at the mouth in rage, the old man reminds everyone that since she's an exchange student, she can't even take the test, claiming that without actual proof of her power level, letting her fight goes completely against all the rules, until the main headmaster spawns out of nowhere in a flash of purple light, completely agreeing with the shady old guy, catching the corrupt director totally off guard, absolutely not expecting his own boss to just pop up like that. Walking up to the girl, the old guy asks why an exchange student is even getting mixed up in all this drama. Finding the whole thing super sus, our hero can't figure out how some basic soldier knows how to use straight-up teleportation. Getting dead serious, he warns her it just wouldn't be fair for her to jump in and completely overshadow the rookies. Watching this whole conversation go down, our boy starts sweating bullets, feeling the super heavy tension completely take over the room. Noticing something insanely bizarre when he sees that both of their ranks are literally just a bunch of question marks. Milking the moment, the shady director backs him up, claiming the school literally survives on strictly following the rules. Dropping a whole speech, The big boss says the school just always wants to see its students shining bright, reminding everybody that this graduation exam is easily one of the most important moments of their entire lives. Rocking a super sharp glare, he asks how the school's rep would look if they totally missed out on this massive chance, dropping a super heavy hint that leaves the old villain absolutely boiling with rage on the inside. Catching on, he figures out the director and Ling Yu straight up staged this whole little show together, and he's got a sneaking suspicion it's all just for our boy, but Gong Shiwen brushes it off, since he's already locked in an easy win for his nephew anyway. Putting on a fake laugh, he plays along with the director and admits his department totally dropped the ball. Right then, the director tweaks the rules, letting the smaller squads jump into the mix too. Right after that, the system chimes in, confirming Si Chen's team is officially locked and loaded. The guys go absolutely crazy cheering and instantly vote the kid in as their captain. Watching this go down, the director notices Ling Yu is way more invested in this than he thought. Looking at the two rivals, he sizes them up, seeing that Gongting is leading the most stacked team here, while Si Chen is stuck with the bottom of the barrel, leaving everyone wondering which dungeon they're actually gonna pick. Up front, the instructor announces the captains can finally lock in their challenges. Almost immediately, he's blown away by how fast one of the squads made their pick. The crowd quickly realizes it's Si Chen's team and everyone just completely loses their minds. Screaming in total disbelief, they can't wrap their heads around the fact that his crew actually chose that specific one. Full on panicking, his buddies grab the kid asking if he's completely lost his marbles. Keeping a dead cold stare, our MC just ignores their freaking out and keeps his eyes glued to the screen. Then, the exam rules pop up, explaining that taking down monsters in a real dungeon racks up points. Clearing it bags you 10, killing the boss gives 20, and speedrunning it under an hour gets you another 20. On top of that, rank F stages multiply your score by 1.5, and rank E doubles it. So, maxing out a rank F dungeon gets you 75 points, while a rank E goes all the way up to 100. The squad that takes first place gets a straight-up golden ticket into the Imperial Guild, and the top student scores an executive spot in the guild, plus a cool 1 million yuan dropped right into their account. Keep in mind, the school record is sitting at 70 points, and rank E requires some seriously overpowered teams. Looking over at Gongting's group, everybody is betting hard that they're the ones gonna shatter that record. Out of nowhere, a notification pops up and the glasses kid is stunned by how insanely fast it happened. His jaw hits the floor when he realizes it was Si Chen's squad. Totally shocked, he screams, asking if the MC seriously just clicked on the rank D dungeon. Freaking the whole room out, the crowd starts buzzing, wondering if anyone's actually crazy enough to take on that difficulty. Confirming the absolute madness, the screen flashes our boy's face, waiting for the rest of the team to accept. The other students are losing it, assuming it was a misclick, since literally no one has ever beaten this before. Shaking his buddy, one of them yells, asking if the MC has completely lost his damn mind. Slumped on the floor in pure panic, another kid is practically crying, regretting his life choices joining the squad. Staring dead at the confirm button, his teammate is praying he can still bail before it's too late. Walking up, his buddy with the glasses asks if he's absolutely sure he wants to mess with a rank D. Cool as ice, the MC replies, promising them he's got literally every single detail figured out. Then the screen refreshes, showing that Gongting's team just locked in the rank D dungeon too. Not missing a beat, all the rival members confirm, taking on the hardest challenge on the board, shocking the entire crowd, who start screaming when they see a second team joining the suicide mission. Dripping with arrogance, Gongting thinks this exam is going to be an absolute walk in the park. Sneering, his teammate jokes that the MC squad has zero clue what kind of danger they're walking into. Away from all the drama, our boy and his crew still gotta make their final call. Some random student starts talking trash, swearing they're just doing it for clout since they're gonna get wiped out anyway. The rival team just laughs, betting the whole ragtag squad is gonna fall apart before they even start. Meanwhile, the nerdy kid is just watching this all unfold in dead silence, trying to figure out exactly when the MC got so badass, considering he used to be complete deadweight. Deep in thought, he tries to read his buddy's newly found fearless vibe. Making up his mind, he smashes the button, saying he's riding with his bro to the very end. Hyping up the rest, another teammate accepts the challenge and hits confirm, hopping on the hype train. Getting super annoyed that he's the last one holding out, Ma Long gets everyone's attention. Yelling in frustration, he goes off on them, since he basically considers himself the alpha of their dorm, complaining the whole time. Ma Wong finally locks it in, screaming that since they're graduating, they might as well go all out. Right then the system beeps, showing the whole squad accepted and officially registering them for the dungeon. Seeing his guy standing firm on this, our boy pulls their attention. Apologizing to them, he admits he only picked the rank D just so he could lock down that MVP title, and he confesses he feels kinda bad for dragging the whole crew into this mess. But then, flashing a cocky smile, he tells his squad they're shooting straight for the max score. Right at that moment, Gong Ting glares daggers at him, declaring that the MVP title is as good as his. Staring right back, our MC keeps a deadpan face, leaving his buddy next to him with his jaw dropped. Full of ego, his rival tells him the school only has room for one top dog. Smirking, Ling Yu realizes she's literally never seen the student body president act like this before. Watching the two squads walk away, she knows it's straight up war between them now. Watching it all go down, the director mentions that kids these days are honestly just built different. But Ling Yu thinks our MC is getting way too cocky, seriously doubting he can solo a D-rank dungeon. Just then a screen pops up showing that the rank D multiplier caps out at 150 points. Sizing up the team, one instructor calls it insane since the difficulty spike is massive. Agreeing with him, the director points out there's only 1 month left before the combat exam kicks off. And one of the female instructors straight up says there's no way they level up that much in such a short time. Looking at the sim room, she's just hoping Si Chen's squad doesn't completely embarrass themselves. Fast forward a few days and the MC's buddies are looking totally wrecked and about to hurl in the courtyard, gasping for air. One guy asks why they're doing all this physical torture instead of just using the simulid. Complaining about the cardio, another kid says the exam isn't a damn triathlon, completely clueless about the plan. Breaking down his strat, our boy tells them that grinding stats in a simulator is practically useless, because when you're staring down real monsters in a dungeon, panic sets in, and all that theory just goes out the window, making it super clear that some random flashy combo won't save your life. It's all about pure instinct. So, focusing on stamina and explosive power is exactly what they need to sharpen those reflexes. Wrapping it up, he says the simulator is trash and the only real way to level up is through raw experience. Bumming out, one of his friends says regular people can't even get into dungeons, since it's an elite-only privilege. And right on cue, the scene cuts to Gong Ting just slicing a monster cleanly in half. Cutting back to the MC, he explains the elites grind insanely hard just to keep their spot at the top, showing Gong Ting with this ice-cold stare, being the absolute poster child for those rich kids, thinking about how they're basically born with the kind of power the rest of the world can only dream about. Losing hope, one guy asks what a bunch of total nobodies are supposed to do about it. Dead serious, our boy promises they're gonna force their way into the Imperial Guild and shatter that ceiling. Looking them straight in the eyes, he tells them this exam is their one and only shot to beat out the rich kids. Thinking to himself, our MC knows this is basically his golden ticket too. Fired up, he swears to go all out and keep the promise he made. With 15 days left on the clock, we see him grinding his heart out inside the Dream Magic Tower. But right in the middle of a fight, he ends up taking a massive hit head-on. Getting sent flying, our MC realizes he still has a long way to go to get stronger. 10 days later, he's still pushing the pace, yelling at his crew to run 5 more laps. Back in the tower, he's already dodging a beast's claws at the very last second. And as the monster keeps pressing, he keeps slipping away, completely locking into the insane rhythm of the fight. With just 5 days left, the workout gets crazy intense with him knocking out weighted push-ups. Hitting the 3-day mark, it cuts over to Gong Ting, who's also out there training in the middle of a literal inferno. With 2 days left, the system chimes and our MC hits level 16 as an assassin. Feeling that raw power surge through him, he levels up again, becoming even deadlier. When the big day finally hits on day 17, a floating drone shows up to guide the students. Hovering there, the little bot waits for the graduation test to officially kick off. Then, the loudspeakers blast out to grab everyone's attention as a massive portal rips open, with the drone telling them to do a final gear check. Si Chen's squad gets ready to move out. With the portal glowing super bright, the voice announces one more time that the test is officially on. Outside, the director shakes hands with a dude in a white suit, calling him President Gong. Turns out it's Gong Lin, our rival's dad and the founder of the guild, apologizing for showing up late. Peeking out the window, the crowd is absolutely floored when they recognize one of the guild founders right at the door. Nearby, a bunch of kids spot a stretch limo, completely blown away seeing the founder and the director chilling together. And they just can't believe it, wondering who could possibly be big enough deal to get this kind of VIP treatment. Right then one student starts suddenly when he spots Carl Cavendish, the vice president of the World Guild Alliance, sending the kids into an absolute frenzy, having zero clue why a massive big shot like him would pull up to their school. Everyone saying it's a golden opportunity just to catch a glimpse of someone from the biggest organization on the planet. As the VIPs walk in, everybody's thinking that just one conversation with these guys could change their entire lives. Inside the hall, an instructor runs down the details for the 184 students taking the exam. Breaking it down, he notes that 23 teams went with rank F, 3 picked rank E, and only 2 crazy squads locked in rank D. Hearing that, the Alliance secretary thinks they're straight up out of their minds for picking rank D. Getting defensive, she presses the director, pointing out that even pro teams struggle in those zones. Playing it cool, the director promises he gave them fair warning, especially since most kids can barely even survive a rank F. Right on cue, the screen cuts to some kid getting absolutely wrecked by a rank F electric salamander. He explains that things get seriously rough when facing the boards, since they're way more aggressive, and over in rank E, the kids literally have to fight for their lives, just so they don't get crushed by the sheer pressure, because even the most basic mobs in there are already on the same level as a rank F spider lord, meaning any random monster in a rank E dungeon hits just as hard as a boss from the tier below. Still on edge, Secret asks if they've got any safety nets in case the students bite off more than they can chew. Trying to chill her out, the director reassures her that the students are the absolute pride and joy of the academy. He explains that elite mercenaries from the Imperial Guild are standing guard right outside every single dungeon door. Plus, every student's wristband comes packed with a panic button that triggers an instant teleport. Showing it off perfectly, some cornered kid screams he's tapping out, and his bracelet starts glowing, yanking him right out of the danger zone in a split second, keeping him totally safe and sound. Even so, Secret gives major props to the 2 squads brave enough to take on the rank D challenge. The director agrees, but then straight up admits he's mostly just curious to see how many minutes they'll actually survive. Right then, the feed cuts straight over to one of those gutsy squads, showing our MC's team up on Misty Peak, with one of his buddies screaming in absolute terror, all because they just came face to face with a shadow flying monkey, an absolutely massive rank D beast. The whole group steps back in shock, seeing how straight up nightmare fuel this thing looks. It just stares the boys down from a distance, treating them like easy prey out in the snow, and a second later an entire swarm of these freaks dive bombs right at them. Without missing a beat, our boy yells for everyone to stay on high alert, when in the blink of an eye, one of the beasts lunges right for his buddy, forcing the kid to desperately roll through the snow, dodging the attack by a literal hair, while the third guy jumps as high as he can, avoiding those razor-sharp claws by mere millimeters. Sprawled out in the snow, they're completely dazed, barely believing they haven't been ripped to shreds yet. In all that chaos, one of the monsters gets swatted out of the sky, crashing face first right in front of them. Totally stunned, one of the guys looks over at our MC and screams his name, seeing our boy standing there surrounded by monsters, not believing he just dropped one all by himself. Without even looking back, he tells them the scaling here is way too high, warning them to just stay safe. And then he just sprints straight into the danger, promising to clear the whole zone while leaving his squad behind. Meanwhile, his buddies are still hopping around, dodging for their lives in pure panic, screaming for backup, sweating bullets with every strike, only managing to stay alive based purely on their reflexes. It finally clicks for them that all that insane physical torture was just so they wouldn't end up being dead weight. Letting his ego take over, Ma Long scoffs, thinking it's straight up pathetic to rely on the youngest guy to carry them. Back on the front line, our MC is absolutely wrecking house, throwing electric punches with zero mercy, not giving them an inch to defend. He's just pummeling those flying freaks at an insane speed, slashing through the air with electric blasts. He chains hits on multiple targets in a totally badass display of power. Watching him pop off, Xiang Zue even admits the kid is an absolute monster, while the glasses kid can barely believe someone hitting this hard is just a graduating senior, realizing that our boy is out there fighting like a straight-up war veteran, and seeing him literally wipe a mountain of monsters at the exact same time just proves his point. But then, out of nowhere, one of the guys screams out that there's a beast creeping up behind him. Thinking fast, Xiang Zuo throws up a massive wall of flames, completely stopping the monster in its tracks, blasting the creature head-on and saving everyone's skin at the very last second. Right then, he tells the squad they can't can't just stand around being dead weight for Si Chen. Staring his teammates down, he reminds them that this exam isn't just about the MC. Fired up and ready to go, the fire mage announces he's about to start dropping bodies, yelling at the top of his lungs that this is their graduation test too. Riding that hype, Ma Long casts Vine Lock, telling those ugly freaks to come get some, summoning huge plants right out of the snow to choke out and pin one of the beasts midair. But even roaring in pain, the monster flexes hard and actually manages to rip free from the vines, leaving the kid totally shook, realizing they might actually be screwed now. But with insane reflexes, Xiangye drops Cloud Chant right on top of it, completely freezing the target, letting them know he wasn't about to just sit on the sidelines, jumping straight into the action. With his fists glowing, Ma Long seizes the opening and spams his skill again, combining the ice magic with the vines. They lock the monster down tight and yell for Xiang Zuo to hit it, screaming their buddy's name, telling him to drop his heaviest skill on it. Without hesitating, he charges up his strongest nuke, a massive explosive flame projectile, making the beast eat all that raw fiery power right to the face, landing a direct hit on the bat monkey, which just shrieks as it takes the full brunt of the explosion. And the core mage goes totally wild, spamming fireballs without an ounce of mercy, causing a massive explosion that straight up turns the monster to ash in the blink of an eye, proving that their three-man combo was an absolute success at totally melting the enemy. Dropping to his knees, the glasses kid admits he just burned through all his mana on that one play. But Xiang Zuo pushes past the fatigue, screaming that he's still got plenty of gas in the tank, making it super obvious he's totally sick of looking at those ugly freaks, turning every single bat that popped up into a literal roasted barbecue, wiping out the area and completely destroying any threat that dared to step to them, until the entire mob is reduced to nothing but a pile of ashes blowing across the frozen ground. Watching from the sidelines, our MC just smiles, totally proud of his squad handling their business, looking up where the guys calls out to him, hyping up their own play and asking if he saw it. And even though they're gasping for air, the team tries to flex, acting like clearing the zone was a piece of cake. Grinning, the MC gives his guys some props, right as the drone chimes in to congratulate everyone, officially confirming that the mission is complete and the dungeon was a total clear. Back in the VIP room, the director's jaw is literally on the floor, absolutely floored that these kids actually clapped a rank D monster, while the rest of the big shots, including President Gong, are just sitting there in dead silence. Sitting there totally chill, Carl Cavendish breaks the ice, hyping up the kid's crazy performance, flashing a little smirk as he breaks down every single move the team makes on the big screen, then casually dropping that the MC's fighting style really reminds him of an old buddy, and he mentally locks in Si Chen's name, making damn sure he doesn't forget a talent like that. On the other hand, the rival's dad is still dead quiet, just glaring a hole straight through the monitor, making the director gulp hard, sweating bullets as the tension in the room goes through the roof. Desperately trying to change the subject, he points to the other rank D team that's also pushing forward. With that, the camera cuts over to Gong Ting, who's out there slicing up an entire horde with his blades. One of the instructors praises their crazy synergy, saying they actually look like pro raiders out there. Watching the feed, Carl nods, admitting that this year's graduating class is seriously stacked. But the director points out that the real battle and the main event haven't even started yet. Then, the scene cuts over to the toxic Vine Cave, a super high-risk rank D lair. And this one girl starts shredding on a guitar, using Flora's chant to blast out waves of power, with the Elegy of Decay completely draining the strength and speed of all the mushrooms around them. Right after that, a mage drops Star Attraction, sucking one of the monsters right into a vortex, seeing the beast trapped. The guy screams at the top of his lungs, calling for their team captain. And the leader, a core warrior, jumps in and instantly shreds the creature to pieces, sheathing his sword with a dead serious look on his face after getting the kill. Flexing hard, one of the members brags that these monsters are exactly like the ones from their training, thinking the whole exam was rigged, proving that having the right connections makes everything a breeze. Getting totally hyped, another teammate calls it right there that they're going to be the champs and yells to rush the boss. Cutting back to our boy, his squad is seriously struggling to push through the heavy snow, until the MC suddenly stops in his tracks, noticing something absolutely massive straight ahead, finally making it to the peak of the snowy mountain and the cloud forest. Coming face to face with the big boss, a phantom ice gorilla that's a straight-up rank D warrior, making the kids' buddies shake in their boots just looking at the sheer size of the beast. And the monster opens its glowing red eyes, locking a totally furious glare right on them. Freaking out, the nerdy kid screams that the big guy has already locked onto them, making everybody run for their lives when the giant gorilla starts charging straight at them. But in an insane flash, our MC pops up and lands a massive kick right to the beast's face, sending the giant freak flying like it was absolutely nothing, not even giving the monkey a second to breathe. our speedster spawns right in front of it again, unleashing an insane combo of electric strikes without an ounce of mercy, taking down the cave lord in a super fast and completely brutal beatdown, leaving his buddies with their jaws absolutely on the floor watching it all go down. Right then the system chimes, dropping 200 XP and a gorilla pelt for our boy, but he thinks the whole thing is super weird since the loot for a boss was complete trash. Just then one of his friends yells out, finding an insane stash of mana stones, pointing super hyped at a hollow log buried right in the middle of the snow, explaining that the monkey must have stashed a bunch of mid-tier stones in there, and he starts losing his mind with joy, swearing that if they sell it all, they're set for life. But the MC senses the danger and screams for everybody to get the hell away from it, but it was already way too late to back off. The second one of the guys touches the crystal, a massive flash of light takes over, making it click for the MC, realizing the treasure was straight up bait, triggering a monster's ice explosion bomb that freezes everything in an instant, catching the entire squad dead to rights in a deadly trap, and cutting their live feed to the judges right on the spot, flashing a wicked smirk. The director bets that the journey for those losers ends right there. Seeing the danger, Carl Cavendish tells the guild to step in and save the squad's lives, but Gonting's dad shuts that down instantly, telling them to wait just a bit longer, pointing out that the vitals on their bracelets are totally normal and nobody hit the panic button yet, wrapping it up by saying the kids gotta make their own call, leaving the room super tense. Back in the snow, the nerdy kid lets out a massive sneeze completely covered in ice, shivering like crazy and thanking his lucky stars that his cloud class saved the team from wiping. Right then a creepy laugh echoes out as a huge shadow rises straight out of the glaciers, revealing a floating monster decked out in armor, making the squad freak out, wondering if that was a real boss. Pulling from his encyclopedia memory, the nerd warns them it's a super sadistic ice mage, confirming the identity of the true lord, the frozen ice skeleton king. And without thinking twice, his buddy turns his back and tries to bolt. Stuck in the ice, the guy thinks fast, knowing he's got to get out of there as soon as possible. But our sharp spike goes flying and nails the nerdy kid right in the leg, knocking the kid backward, crashing hard into the snow with a groan of pain, laughing like a psycho. The skeleton king looks like he's actually having fun watching them panic. Laying there, the system beeps for the wounded kid, asking if he wants to tab out of the exam, but the guy straight up refuses, focusing everything on busting Si-Chen out of the ice no matter what. Using Purifying Origin, he drops a heal on his leader, keeping their hopes alive. Right then another ice spike cuts through the air and tags the healing kid right in the arm, making him scream in agony as the heavy hit tears into his arm. Loving the show, the creature lets out another laugh, totally eating up the squad's suffering. Then, it charges up Icebone Spike, spawning a bunch of razor-sharp shards. Seeing the injured kid's heart rate spike, the system beeps again asking if he wants to forfeit, staring at the prompt. The nerd remembers how he's literally always run away from danger and fear, and because of that he spent his whole life getting ignored, treated like a joke, and left in the dust. Remembering that the group risked absolutely everything just to make it this far. Finally having a real shot at flipping the script and changing his own destiny for good. With pure fire in his eyes, the kid screams he's never gonna throw in the towel like this. Ignoring his wounds, he stays locked in on healing Si-Chen with everything he's got, channeling his energy to the absolute max, making his hands glow crazy bright, while the Skeleton King just keeps bombarding the whole area non-stop. But the nerd stays focused on the mission, getting super close to breaking his buddy out of the ice, pushing incredibly hard to shatter those barriers down, screaming for that damn prison to just shatter already. With a sudden snap, the kid's eyes glow super bright, blowing pure energy right into the air, instantly unleashing the Divine Flash technique, making the big boss step back, actually feeling the heavy pressure of that aura. Finally free, our leader pulls the nerd up off the ground, and his buddy thanks him for everything, paying back the thanks for the heal and checking to make sure his bro's wounds aren't too bad, letting him know right away they're staring down a rank C lord, warning him not to get frozen again, exchanging a serious look, getting completely dialed in for the heavy fight coming up. But the second they turn back to the boss to face the threat, they realize the freak is already charging up a colossal ice bomb, promising to straight up wipe the map and delete the squad in a matter of seconds, sending that massive nuke flying straight at them. And the second it touches down, it triggers a blast that wipes the entire zone, leaving the ward totally convinced he just turned those kids to dust. But out of nowhere, the ice skull turns its head, its expression shifting to pure shock, seeing Si-Chen standing right there in the smoke, completely untouched and dripping with a blue aura. with a system popping up saying our boy unlocked Frost Physique, making him totally immune to the cold, breaking the monster's mind, completely clueless how its target survived that hit. On the side, the nerd is absolutely floored too, wondering if his buddy's got some ultra-rare talent. Staring at the kid's brand new mask, the guy almost loses it, guessing he might actually be a dual class, but the leader apologizes for slipping up, right as he finishes swapping out his skills, with his eyes glowing in 2 different colors, coldly warning them that he's not gonna miss again. Locking in his Rakshasa swap, pulling his blade, and promising to absolutely clap this freak right here. Shaking, the Skeleton King stares down his opponent, who's just radiating this crushing power, leaving his glasses-wearing buddy even more amazed at the whole scene. Because honestly, the odds of an awakened having dual classes are like 1 in 10 million, making a flex like this practically impossible to witness in the real world, with less than 10 cases globally, making them worth their weight in gold to the major guilds. Still in absolute shock, the kid's buddy can barely even catch his breath, figuring out that Sai Chen is hiding a way bigger arsenal than just a single class. And then it finally clicks, realizing the secret goes way deeper than that. It's actually 3 full classes. Watching the kid radiate some absolutely insane strength and durability. Overflowing with rage, he rushes the Ice Lord with pure murder in his eyes, cratering the ground with a heavy thud just from the sheer force of his launch, flying straight at his target at a totally surreal speed, tearing through absolutely everything in his path, leaving the nerdy kid completely starstruck by the whole spectacle. Right then, the big freak totally panics, roaring that there's no way he's going down here, but he gets sliced right down the middle before he can even blink, sticking the landing right after with a textbook superhero pose, bagging 5000 XP, leveling up, and getting the ice spike to drop. Turning to his buddy, he brings up that the other 2 guys are still trapped inside those ice blocks, and asks if his friend, even totally gassed out, has enough juice left to unfreeze the crew. At that exact moment, the system chimes in saying the monster's remains are actually edible, zooming right in on the skull laying in the snow, basically begging to be absorbed on the spot. With his hand glowing, our MC reaches out and triggers the gluttony process, sucking all the essence from that skull straight into his own body, clenching his fist hard, now radiating a brand new blue aura, confirming it worked in unlocking ice magic for our boy's arsenal, marking the very first time he's bagged a new class outside the dream world. Hyped that the camera broke, keeping his secret safe and buying them plenty of extra time. Right then, a bright yellowish light bursts all around his body, showing his assassin class just leveled up, scoring him an extra point to spend, leaving the kid a bit confused, trying to figure out what that new star actually means. Far away from all that, Gong Ting's squad is seriously struggling against the rank D Devourer boss, with the team's tank screaming, warning them he can't hold this freak off for much longer. Even the sniper tries his luck, but the plant's defense is just insanely tanky, shrugging off those electric arrows like they were absolutely nothing, prompting the flower to clap back with its vines, tossing the crew all over the place, screaming in pure panic, feeling the whole situation spinning totally out of control. Freaking out, one of them asks if the guild heir is ever gonna actually do something. Meanwhile, Gong Ting is getting hit with every magic buff in the book to max out his stats. Raising his burning blade, he straight up decrees that the creature is about to turn to ash, lunging forward with a heavy jump, unleashing a totally brutal flaming slash, tearing through the air straight for the beast's neck, giving it 0 chance to dodge, roaring in pure rage, forcing that hideous thing to turn to dust right on the spot, setting off a massive flash on the screen, proving just how scary his power level really is, dropping his ultimate technique to trigger a colossal detonation right inside the cave, with the system confirming the win at 35 minutes, making the squad go totally wild, racking up a score of 150 points, completely smashing the all-time exam record. So hyped about the win, the crew rushes to see how the final rankings turned out. Stepping out of the portal, the little brother just shamelessly flexes on the other students, laughing out loud, assuming anyone who finished this early definitely tapped out. Seeing a bunch of traumatized kids off in the corner just bawling their eyes out on the floor, while some girl is literally shaking, absolutely terrified just thinking about the nightmare she went through. Turning his head, the bully ends up locking eyes with our MC's squad, flashing a super cocky smirk, dripping with pure disrespect, totally convinced the rival crew chickened out and bailed early just like he called it, and steps right up to the MC, who just shoots back this terrifyingly cold stare, talking trash to the team. The coward asks if they chickened out and failed to finish the test, but the faction leader steps in, telling his brother to stay in his lane, pointing out that the directors just showed up and they need to go pay their respects. Right then, the dude in the suit starts clapping, praising their absolutely brilliant performance, announcing to the room that everyone just witnessed a truly exceptional run today, with the three big bosses walking down the hall straight toward the Grats, putting the bully brother on cloud 9, fully thinking those claps were meant for his squad, and Tang quickly sticks his hand out, super proud, totally ready to greet the big shot, but ends up eating massive embarrassment when the VIP walks straight past him, leaving the rival in utter shock watching the guy walk right up to our main character. Boiling with rage, he listens to the director congratulate the MC's team on their record time, saying that even a pro guild squad would be sweating to clear it in 21 minutes. The kiss-ass brother loses his mind, not buying how that crew finished a D tier that fast. Looking super giddy, the MC's team thanks the VIP, while our boy just stays ice cold, recognizing instantly that this is Carl Cavendish, literally the second strongest dude on the planet, with the boss making a mental note of the kid's name, deciding this trip was totally worth it. Turning to the rival next, he gives props to his leadership, saying, Master Gong taught him well, with the kid's dad answering super humbly, saying the vice president is laying it on a bit thick. But right after, he shoots this incredibly heavy, disappointed glare straight at his own son. Satisfied with what he saw, Carl announces he's gotta head out and says his goodbyes to the crowd, telling the school director he hit the absolute jackpot pulling two prodigies like that. So the director steps up, wanting to clear the air about the tie for the max scores, crowning both squads as champions, locking in direct spots for both inside the Imperial Guild, making everybody cheer for securing those top-tier contracts, except for the two leaders, adding that Gongting and Sichen are both getting management roles and splitting the 1 million, making the two prodigies lock eyes in dead silence. Right then our boy tenses up, knowing that $500,000 won't even cover his debt with the shop, but the rival steps up out of nowhere, declaring there can only be one true champ on the podium, demanding a tiebreaker and a straight-up one-on-one duel against our MC, leaving the board members and the directors totally stunned, but instantly grabbing the attention of every suit in the room with that massive bet, with the director calling it an absolute joke, convinced our boy isn't gonna take the bait. Except the MC just throws his hand up, completely shattering the silence with a single question, asking if he wins the fight, does he get to bag the full 1 million all to himself, making the school director choke, practically coughing up a lung. Never backing down, Gongting goes all in, guaranteeing winner takes the whole prize, with Carl Cavendish flashing a sly smirk, absolutely loving this crazy plot twist, and telling everyone in the room that the real main event of the night just kicked off, with the two titans going head-to-head to decide who's the true number one. If you're vibing with the recap, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to see how this fight ends in the next